What is going on, everybody? I'm Howard Bender from Fantasy Alarm. Are you still competing for your fantasy baseball championship? If you are, absolutely amazing. Here we are in the second week of September, and oh, baby, time is running out. So let's get you in on that championship. And that means proper roster adjustments, waiver wire work, all of that stuff is completely necessary, which is why you're right here checking in with the Fantasy Baseball Stock Watch. Player values rising and falling. And listen, you've got to make every stat count as best as possible. So if a guy's not performing, get him out of there. If a guy is heating up and he's sitting on your waiver wire, you're going to want him in there. So let's take some time here right now. Let's look for some MLB player stocks, who's rising and who's falling. We'll start on the good side, player stock rising, and it begins in Arizona with outfielder Randall Grichuk. Yeah, I know, Randall Grichuk. I'm always surprised when I see his name atop the leaderboards, but this guy's slashing 357, 400, 821 over his last 11 games. He's got 4 home runs with 9 RBI and 8 runs scored in that span. Listen, as long as Arizona is staying hot and guys like Grichuk are performing, you're going to want to use that as best as you possibly can. Next stock riser here. How about New York Yankees third baseman / outfielder for fantasy purposes, Jazz Chisholm? I mean, come on. Guess who's leading MLB in steals for the last 2 weeks? That's right. It's Jazz. 8 stolen bases over the last 2 weeks. And he's also hit safely in 7 of his last 9 games with 4 multi-hit performances. And again, the multi-position eligibility, it never gets old. It's always a key factor, especially down the stretch when injuries start popping up. And then finally, our last stock riser. How about Willy Adames, shortstop for the Milwaukee Brewers? Guy's been an RBI machine over the last 2 weeks. He's only batting .255, but 7 home runs, 15 RBI, which is highest in Major League Baseball over the last 2 weeks, 9 runs scored, and 4 stolen bases. Best of all, this road trip that the Brewers are on right now is going to let up, and then he's back at home. And anybody who knows what Willy Adames does to right-handed pitching in Milwaukee, he loves that batter's eye. More coming from him. With all the good, there's also a lot of bad. And let's talk about some stock watch fallers, and it begins in Boston with first baseman Triston Casas. Yeah, this has not been good. He's batting just 118 with no home runs, just 3 RBI over the last 12 games, striking out almost 33% of the time over that span. Might be time to find, well, anyone better. Also on the decline here, Royce Lewis, third baseman for the Minnesota Twins. What a rocky season it's been for him the entire time. It was a start hot, get hurt, slow down, come back, never do well again, maybe hits well, then he doesn't do it again, and it's just been completely inconsistent. Slashing just 156, 191, 267 with only 1 home run over his last 12 games. You hope he fixes things for next season, but for this year, yuck. And then finally, how about Heliot Ramos, the outfielder for the San Francisco Giants? Everybody's waiting for him to get as hot as he was when he first arrived in the majors, but he's still ice cold and there's no signs of any heat. Well, except the heat that's whizzing by him at the plate. This dude's batting just 182 with a .213 on-base percentage over his last 12 games. Just 3 RBI and 1 stolen base to show for it. If he's sitting in your lineup, you best be getting him out. That's going to do it for this week's Fantasy Baseball Stock Watch. I'm Howard Bender. For all your needs to get that Fantasy Baseball Championship, head on over to fantasyalarm.com. We'll see y'all in the money this year.